When first responders entered the Banfield home on February 24, 2023, Christine Banfield had been stabbed multiple times in the neck. She was a pediatric intensive care nurse, a woman who spent her career keeping critically ill children alive. The knife used to kill her had been brought to the house by Joseph Ryan, a 39-year-old stranger who had no idea what it was actually going to be used for. What investigators would uncover over the following months was not a home invasion gone wrong, not a random act of violence, and not a husband's act of self-defense. It was a murder plot built over 30 days by a former federal law enforcement officer who had calculated with extraordinary coldness that killing his wife was a more practical solution than divorcing her. Brendan Banfield was 40 years old and a former special agent with the IRS Criminal Investigation Division. He understood how evidence worked, how investigations were conducted, and how crime scenes were read. His wife, Christine, was 37, a dedicated pediatric intensive care nurse described by her family as devoted to both her patients and her 4-year-old daughter. From the outside, the Banfields appeared to be a stable, professional household in Herndon, Virginia, an affluent suburb outside Washington, D.C. In October 2021, a 21-year-old Brazilian woman named Juliana Perez Magalhães joined the household as a live-in au pair. Within approximately 10 months, she and Brendan had begun a sexual relationship. According to Magalhães' own testimony at trial, Brendan told her he loved her, that he wanted to marry her, and that he wanted to have children with her. There was one obstacle. He did not want a divorce, she testified, because it would leave him financially disadvantaged and because he feared losing custody of his daughter. His stated solution, as he communicated it to Magalhães, was to get rid of Christine entirely. What followed was a month-long operation built on deception. Brendan created a fake profile impersonating Christine on an adult fetish website. Over approximately 30 days, he used that profile to contact Joseph Ryan, a complete stranger with no connection to the Banfield family. Through fabricated messages, Brendan constructed a fictional scenario, leading Ryan to believe that Christine was inviting him to the home for a prearranged, consensual role-play encounter. Ryan was instructed to arrive on the morning of February 24, 2023, while Christine was sleeping, and to bring restraints and a knife. He followed every instruction. Both Brendan and Magalhães traded in their personal phones during this period in a deliberate attempt to eliminate the digital trail they were creating. On the morning of February 24th, the plan moved into its final stage. Magalhães waited outside the home in a parked car with the couple's 4-year-old daughter in the back seat. When Ryan arrived and entered the house, she called Brendan, who had positioned himself at a nearby McDonald's. Brendan drove back to the house, brought his daughter to the basement, and went upstairs. He shot Joseph Ryan with his government-issued service weapon and stabbed Christine multiple times in the neck using the knife Ryan had carried through the front door. When Magalhães entered the bedroom and observed that Ryan was still alive, she picked up a firearm and shot him again. That second shot killed him. Brendan then called 911 and reported that he had come home to find a violent intruder attacking his wife and had shot the man in self-defense. For months, Joseph Ryan's name was publicly connected to the attack. Early reporting framed him as a dangerous intruder. He had no criminal record. He had been recruited, deceived, and murdered, then deliberately positioned to absorb blame for a killing he did not commit. The investigation shifted when forensic analysts examined the digital evidence. The fake fetish profile account activity did not trace back to Christine's devices. It traced back to Brendan. The phone swap had not erased enough. Magalhães was arrested in October 2023. Facing a second-degree murder charge, she accepted a plea agreement, pleading guilty to manslaughter in exchange for her full cooperation as a prosecution witness. She testified in open court in January 2026, describing the affair, the planning, and the events of February 24th in precise detail. The trial ran for 3 weeks. Brendan testified in his own defense, admitted to the affair, and told the jury he had shot Ryan in self-defense after walking in on an attack. He also admitted under cross-examination that he had been unfaithful to Christine with several other women beyond Magalhães. The jury rejected his account on every count. He was convicted of 2 counts of aggravated murder, a firearms offense, and child endangerment. On June 6, 2026, Brendan Banfield was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Magalhães received the maximum 10 years permitted under her plea agreement after the judge rejected her attorney's request for leniency. At sentencing, Christine's sister addressed Banfield directly and told the court that he could have simply filed for divorce and walked away, that he chose not to because control mattered more to him than his wife's life. Joseph Ryan's mother and aunt also delivered statements for a man who had received a message from a stranger, followed instructions he had no reason to question, and was dead before the morning was over.